corresponding part. So our ratio of the tree, and we have to do it in order, the tree comes first, is 18 to, there's that word to, the small triangle, 18 to 2. You cannot write it 2 to 18 because that is not the way it is worded in the question. You have to write it in the exact order that it is worded in the question. Tree to small triangle, tree to small triangle. Now I can simplify that by dividing both of those by 2, and that gives me 9 to 1. So the ratio of the big tree to the small triangle is 9 to 1. Okay, let's go to the next page. And now that we know how to do corresponding parts and understanding the ratio of one corresponding part to another, we can find missing parts, missing measurements in our shapes, in our pictures. So looking at the two figures over here, two trapezoids, we are going to end up finding that missing value using proportions. So first we find the corresponding parts. These two shapes are facing the same direction. Are they facing the same direction? Yes, it looks like they are, so I can find my corresponding part. This is my missing value. So I'm going to find the corresponding part for that, which is right here. And I can write that as a ratio, x to 8. But now I want to write a proportion for a corresponding part. Well, this is my unknown corresponding ratio. Remember, proportion, you put equal, and I'm going to have another ratio. Well, now let's go ahead and put a proportion with the information I know. Here is a 12, and I want to find the corresponding part for 12, which is right here. It's very important that you write it in the same order as your original ratio. So the x to 8, this is your larger triangle, the large shape, I guess it was a trapezoid. So the large trapezoid, and we're comparing it to the small trapezoid. So everything has to be in the same place. So I had a missing portion of my large, and I'm comparing it to the known portion of my smaller. So now I have a known portion of my large, and I can put the known portion of my smaller. And I've set up a proportion. And you guys should be familiar with these proportions because we've been working on how to solve them, cross multiply and divide. So x is equal to 8 times 12 divided by 2. And if you plug that in your calculator, you will find that the answer for that missing side is 48 meters. Don't forget your label. Okay, so that's 48 meters. Now, does that make sense? Well, we can check. This is smaller, this is larger. So I do have a measurement that is larger. Let's try it with our trees. With a picture, we can do the same thing. We have, again, trees and their shadows. And we're going to use the picture of the trees and their shadows to determine the height of the larger tree. So it looks like we have a small tree and a large tree, and we are missing the height of the larger tree. So let's use proportions. We have a shadow to a shadow, and we have a missing to the height of the smaller tree. So let's set up our proportions. I am missing the height of the larger tree. I have the height of the smaller tree. I want to set up a proportion. So I need to set up another ratio. And again, this is large to small. So I need the shadows. Large to small. And then we cross multiply and divide. So x will be equal to 10.5 times 17.5 divided by 11.25. And if we put all of that into the calculator, we should get 16.3 feet. Now, look at your answer. Always look at your answer and see, because there's sometimes a tendency to get these ratios in the wrong order. You set this large to small, you might accidentally set this one smaller to large. So look at your answer and look at your picture and see if it makes sense. If this